Okay, video number 5 with Eric Dubay. Although I believe he was already knocked out in the first or second round, maybe the last round. But let's keep going while he's down.
Ask any airline pilot.
Oh, look at that. He calls somebody a clown again. Because that's all they've got is cheap, childish insults.
Pilot what the shape of the Earth is. When they're done laughing at you, they'll tell you it's a sphere.
That's not an...
Okay, so Professor Dave says, and he probably shouldn't have used the phrase ask any pilot, because unfortunately there are some people that know how to fly a plane out there that have also fallen for this ridiculous flat Earth hoax. I think that generally proves that you don't really have to be a rocket scientist or a surgeon to be able to get your pilot's license. You tend to think that pilots are such super intelligent people, and many of them probably are. I'm not calling them stupid, not even close. But it's not really rocket science today, and generally anybody can get a pilot's license. That doesn't prove that you can figure out if the Earth is a globe or a flat plane while you're up there, because no planes really go up high enough to ever see any evidence for that. Sure, when you're up there, it might look flat, but that's just because you're looking at a very, very, very small a very small section of the immense globe that is below you. So when you look at just a very, very tiny section of it, yeah, it looks flat. But it's not.
Ask any airline pilot what the shape of the Earth is. When they're done laughing at you, they'll tell you it's a sphere.
That's not an... no, the ground looks to us like it's standing still.
Yeah, it looks that way, but that doesn't mean that it is.
Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
No.
No? What'd you see while we were up there?
Just the blue sky, white clouds.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah. See, he's not really answering a flat Earth question. I don't think this guy understood he was getting quizzed by a flat earther. So when he heard the word curvature, he probably didn't know what she was talking about, and just said, "No, I didn't see whatever you're talking about." He had no idea that this flat earther was necessarily talking about the curvature of the horizon. And even if he did know that, these planes are not going up high enough. Even if this is a commercial jet, which, by his uniform, it looks like it is, the jets still are not high enough to be able to see true curvature. The Earth is that big.
Flat or?
Pretty flat.
Pretty flat?
Yeah.
Because from a pilot's point of view, it does look flat, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So you're taking the guy's comments out of context. Now this guy, who knows? Why is his face blurred? Huh?
I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
It's true?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. Hey, God bless, brother.
Does that actually count as a whistleblower of some kind? The guy is completely blurred out, no idea. It seems he doesn't speak English, actually. So when he's getting quizzed by some flat earthers out of nowhere, this response doesn't prove that the Earth is a globe and he's in on it or something. This doesn't prove anything. It's an out-of-context clip.
Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
Curvature? No.
No? There's no curvature?
It's just all flat.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like. Now ask him if he thinks it's a flat Earth. How come none of these clips actually ask that question?
Casey, how are you, mate? Pleased to meet you guys. There's no way there's curvature. We're random flat, aren't we?
Definitely.
We are, aren't we? Thank you.
Most pilots know their plane is flying over a plane.
Because it might look that way, but that doesn't prove that it is. All you're doing is cherry-picking a few people out of this 8 billion population of this globe and throwing it in here to cast doubt into people's minds.
A stationary plane, always a smooth and level flight, We never feel the plane
Well, now, wait a minute. Always a smooth and level flight. Have you never flown? Do you not know what turbulence is?
plane dipping its nose down. We only feel
Yeah.
the landing.
The dipping the nose down thing. This is also a ridiculous argument that they just can't get the concept of what a three-dimensional globe is. Planes maintain their altitude using an altimeter. That measures basically how far they are from sea level. All they have to do is maintain the same altitude, and it automatically follows the curvature of the Earth. That should not take being a rocket scientist to understand. But unfortunately, these flat earthers get the spirit of confusion in them, and they just can't understand that.
Which flight route matches reality in your mind? If you chose the left, you may need
Okay, do you see a flight route on the left? I don't even see what you're talking about on the left. I see a globe on top of a flat map with a bunch of lines and planes, and what are you trying to prove? There's no science in this.
medical attention.
What did you just prove? Nothing. You just threw something up on the screen for 2 seconds and claimed it proved something.
May need medical attention.
And a childish insult. If you can't figure it out, you need medical attention. I think you guys need spiritual attention. You need deliverance from these demons.
You may need medical.
So what are you proving here? Now look at this. From Dallas to Abu Dhabi, is that what that is? On a map such as, what is this, the Gleason type map? This is a flat earth kind of map. And from there, going kind of over the North Pole area close to, going over to Abu Dhabi, which is on the other side of the globe, going over the North Pole, so to speak. I mean, it's not literally going over the North Pole, but it's getting kind of close. It's going over Greenland. So going north to go over this part of the globe to Abu Dhabi is the straightest line. And that's because that's what it does on the North Pole. Now, do it on the South Pole. Because on the North Pole, flat Earth and globe Earth are kind of the same a lot of times. It depends on which locations. And notice that he only showed you one location. See, on a globe, they think, because they can't think of this really scientifically, that Dallas to Abu Dhabi would somehow fly way, way over here and then over there and then to Abu Dhabi. They want to think that that's the straight line on a globe. It's not. The straightest line on a globe happens to be this route.
Medical attention. Everything beneath you while flying.
Now, how come you didn't give me any other flights? 0 other flight examples. That's it. You just flashed something on the screen for literally like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and you thought you proved something there? Okay, what do you got here? Messing up. There we go.
Everything beneath you while flying is level and motionless, just as expected, flying over a stationary plane.
If the Earth is rotating once per day, that is extremely slowly. Why would you expect to be in a plane that's moving hundreds of miles an hour and look down and see the Earth somehow moving while you're moving at the same time? How would you be able to detect the rotation of the Earth when you're in a moving plane above it? It's a ridiculous thing to say.
Sometimes it's hard to see far ahead of you, but other times.
You could probably see the
Okay, so this is a good one. I really like this one.
Sometimes it's hard to see far ahead of you.
Yeah, why would that be? Clouds, and, I don't know, the horizon.
But other times.
You could probably see the Rockies from Kansas.
Wow.
But
Really?
it's a clear day,
Very
but
clear
if
day.
it's smoky or hazy, obviously you can't see much.
Yeah, now what did she just say? From Kansas, you can potentially see the Rocky Mountains. Now, I looked at this on a globe, and they're not really that far away. Kansas is right next to a state called Colorado. And Colorado, I'm looking at a globe that's not on your screen right now. Yeah, you know what? I can do this. Let's take this. Let's take this down to the screen. There you go. And let's look. Okay, so what's all this? That's the Rocky Mountains. What is this? The state of Kansas. From here, which is the state of Kansas, I'm pretty sure you would be able to see those mountains from up in the air. Why is that a problem? That's not really a problem, but they put on the screen that it was, what did it say? We'll see it in a second here. I think from memory it said, 300 to 500 miles away? So what calculation did they do? Did they start way over here in Kansas and think that over here you can't see that? And that's how they came up with their, this is a ridiculous thing you can't see. No. What she said was from Kansas, you can see the Rocky Mountains. That's very believable. I don't have a problem believing that. You didn't prove anything. How come from Kansas you can't see Mount Everest, which is the tallest mountain ever? Why can't you see that? Okay, let's bring that back up there. And let's continue on.
The world is so generous in its beauty, and you do your best to take pictures of it. It's just flat and gorgeous.
I'm pretty sure that the word flat in that sentence had absolutely nothing to do with the shape of the earth. Can you say out of context? Can we get that particular pilot so that we can ask him, hey, what did you mean? Did you mean it's a flat earth? I'm willing to bet a lot of money, which I'm not a betting man as a Christian. I'm willing to bet that he didn't mean it's a flat earth. He was just using the word flat in a different way, because that's kind of a common saying people use. It's flat out the truth. There you go.
Silly actor not, you took the words right out of my mouth. Earth is flat and gorgeous, but they trick you to believe something else. Not every pilot instantly connects the dots and keeps quiet. Sometimes it can hit them 25 years later.
Hier is Australië en dan is, want dit ding behoudt zijn stand, dus dit blijft blauw en dit blijft draaien. Het is niet zo dat we op één.
I'm glad there's subtitles because this woman is very impossible to understand what she's saying.
Eens en omklappen de verkeerde kant op. En dit was voor mij dat ik dacht, oh man.
Why would you flip over when you're just following the curvature of the earth? There is no upside down on the globe because gravity pulls everything towards the center. So whoever this woman is, she's just as unwise and as deceived as all the other flat earthers. So congratulations, just because you've got this woman pilot on your side, it doesn't mean you're right.
Waarom heb ik dat nooit eerder gezien na 25 jaar in cockpit? Dus zo geïndoctrineerd zijn we dus allemaal.
No, it shows how indoctrinated you now are.
Ja, het is toch, het is gewoon, het is ook gewoon
Yeah, it sure is
heel
annoying.
vervelend. Het is gewoon heel vervelend. Dat je daar al jaren naar hebt gekeken en dat het kwartje nooit is gevallen.
You know what? I'll bet you anything this woman did not come to this realization, this supposed realization, until after she started watching recent flat earth videos. I would put money on that too. She got deceived by your videos. That's what happened.
En ook zeg maar, toen ik eenmaal wist dat de aarde plat is, dat je naar buiten kijkt en dat je denkt, waar moet ik nooit gezien hoe plat het eigenlijk is?
Better.
There's no proof there. It's just her opinion, again.
Better late than never. Most pilots may have skipped over their training manuals. In their Flight Dynamics Summary, Section 112 explains all you'll need to know about what you're flying over.
Yeah, okay, we got to go back to that. Let's see here. So in this summary, we want to describe the flight dynamics with equations. This is, however, very difficult. To simplify it a bit, we have to make some simplifying assumptions. Okay? This is what they're doing to be able to come up with formulas, equations, to be able to mathematically figure stuff out. Okay? And so what they do is they just assume that the Earth is flat, they assume that it is not rotating, to take these variables out of the equation. But that doesn't prove that they believe that it is a flat Earth and that it is not rotating. They're just taking those things out of these equations because the rotation of the Earth and the global nature of the Earth are not really relevant to the equations that they are dealing with here.
The military knows the same thing.
Same thing. These equations are based on these things because it becomes a much, much more complex equation if you have to factor in the global, the global numbers and the spinning of the Earth, whatever numbers are involved with that too. That would make the equation way more complicated. So they just boil it down to a simpler equation by removing those particular variables out. That's all that's happening here. These are not admissions that the Earth is flat.
NASA admits it as well.
No. Let's see. Do we really need to read this? Dissertation. You can't even read the whole thing because it cuts off. Nice job, Eric. Let's see. The first is the Earth fixed coordinated system, which is fixed to the Earth with a flat Earth assumption, right? It's an assumption just for the sake of the equations. Okay, first sentence, the motion of an object is usually described by rigid body equations. Okay, no, look at that, derived from Newton's laws. Newton? Who? Fig Newton? No, Sir Isaac Newton, the guy who came up with gravity.
In tons of documents available to the
Confined in a vertical plane on a non-rotating flat Earth. In our minimum time to climb problem, the aircraft is modeled as a point mass and the flight trajectory is strictly confined in a vertical plane on a non-rotating flat Earth. Yeah, that makes sense. Why would they include the calculations that go into it when all they're doing is measuring what it takes for a plane to continue flying, to climb, right? Time to climb problem. How about if you show us any context to this stuff? All you're doing is highlighting a few words that cast doubt because you're working with the spirit of confusion.
To the public.
Let's see. Equations. Look at that. Equations for angles of attack and side slip relative to both a rolling and non-rolling body axis system are derived for a flight vehicle for which radar and gyroscopic attitude data are available. The method is limited, however, to application where a flat, non-rotating Earth may be assumed. They're assuming something that's not really true just to remove those factors from the equations. That's all these mean. That's all this means. They are not admitting that the Earth is flat. That's not what these documents are saying.
They just assumed nobody would pay attention.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. Now here is some fool that actually had the guts to take these things, read them so literally and out of context to assume that NASA is admitting that we're on a flat Earth, and now he's going to some government that has no idea what he's talking about and trying to get them to change the laws because NASA's been lying to us.
This comes from the Army Research Laboratory. This one's from the CIA. There's another one from NASA. This report documents the definitions of linear aircraft model for the rigid aircraft of consistent mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. This comes right from our own government. Now, I have available 44 documents. Who do I give them to, sir?
You can go to the city clerk, please.
Which is this person
here.
So what I want is a law that's passed that we can't teach anything about the globe. We have to teach the truth of how things are.
Did he prove that the Earth was flat in anything he said? No. He was complaining that these documents say flat Earth, therefore it's a flat Earth. Now let's pass a law that says you can't teach globe Earth. That's ultimately what he's shooting for here. But he's not understanding the documents. That's the problem.
From the documents to the imagery, they are not flying around a curve heading to outer space.
Yeah, they are.
They are flying over a stationary, flat plane.
Where's your
Stop
proof of that?
falling for the illusions.
Every one of your experiments is an illusion, Dubay.
Every rocket goes up and then levels out.
Why are you expecting the rocket to just go straight up, straight, just keep going straight up and up and up and up? Why are you expecting that? Is every rocket trajectory just to go straight up? No, that's not the flight plan, because that's not where they're going. They go up at first, and then they start to go into whatever orbit that they are supposed to be going into. Whatever the mission of the rocket is, it starts heading that direction. When you drive in your car, I think you turn to go where you want to go. Well, that's what the rocket's doing. That's all.
Most of NASA's rockets launch from Florida and head towards the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, so?
Well, besides the occasional...
Yeah, and that's, I sure hope that wasn't a video of somebody dying. I don't know what explosion that was. If there were humans on that, you are a horrible person, Eric Dubay, for making light of it like this.
They're not shy about showing the truth in plain sight. 125 alleged miles...
Okay, so this particular shot, that reminds me of what I did in video number 1, because this is a Earth curvature going the wrong way, and there's no signs of any straight lines in this video. Therefore, this is a fisheye lens. That is why the curvature of the Earth is distorted on the side of the frame. That's what a fisheye lens does.
Miles up, and they show you our level horizon with a local sun. Then quickly switch cameras to their fisheye lens, as if...
No! This is the one that's not a fisheye lens. How do I know that? Oh, look, there's a straight line over here. How did that happen? On the side of the frame. How, if this is a fisheye lens, why is this straight? Was it curved and then the fisheye lens made it straight? Prove that to me. Because what I see here is a straight line on the side of the frame, which means it's not a fisheye lens. This is a rounded window that you're looking through, so it's already curved. That's not fisheye distortion. That's just the shape of whatever window this is looking through. This, on the other hand, is a straight line, which proves this is not a fisheye lens, which therefore proves that this is, in fact, true Earth curvature. Nice try, Dubay.
As if that didn't just happen. You have to pick one.
See? See what he does? This is what he did at the very beginning of this film. Yeah, I covered this in the first video I made. This one has zero signs, zero evidence of being a fisheye lens because of these straight lines. That straight line. I guess there's only one, technically. This is not a fisheye. This is a fisheye. But he's telling you it's the opposite. Why do you believe Eric Dubay?
You can't have both. Looks as if their cameras go about as high as most hot air balloons do before they burst. Who do they think they're fooling? But let me...
Okay, so this is apparently a shot from, is this from a hot air balloon, Dubay? Because you said that, but is this actually from a hot air balloon? Not hot air balloon, you know, one of them weather type balloons that you put a camera on and let it just keep going up until it finally bursts and fall down. If that's what this footage is from, then it didn't get high enough to see the curve, because Earth is just that big. A balloon with a camera on it is still only going to go up just a few miles at best. Maybe few isn't the word I should use. Maybe it's several miles. Maybe it goes up 10, 20 miles. I don't know. But the Earth is so huge that you would have to be up a lot of miles, like hundreds and thousands of miles, before you can actually see the curvature. These balloons just don't go up high enough to see the curvature. But they do give us the ability to disprove your claim of the horizon always falls to eye level. That's not true. There's been plenty of videos, it's in the other videos I've already put up, where somebody goes at different elevations with that little contraption that has a water level to it, and it's at eye level at one point, and then you go higher elevation and it's no longer at that same point. You go higher elevation and the horizon is literally lower than the level. So it's been proven on video that this claim that it always rises to eye level is just not true. It's a fake claim by all of these flat earthers.
Go about as high as most hot air balloons do before they burst. Who do they think they're fooling? But let me guess.
You are the one being fooled. Or you're the one fooling people with known lies. I don't know yet. I don't know if you actually believe this stuff or if you're actually part of an unknown hoax. Time will tell. God will be your judge.
You saw the curvature in the images from satellites. The thousands of magical orbiting aluminum tin cans float.
Okay. Wait. See, it just goes so fast. It's mesmerizing these flat earthers by putting all this stuff so quickly up on the screen that you don't really get a chance to actually analyze what it is that you're looking at here. So I got to go slowly back and back and back to look at everything that you're putting in here. Okay, now we've got this film. What is this from?
Let me guess. You saw
Astronaut
the curvature.
Puts his hand on something and we see curvature of the Earth behind that. What is this from? Source. NASA. It says NASA up here at the top. Source. Now, I don't know. Is this film supposed to be actual film of an actual astronaut up in space? If it is, where's the proof it's fake? Otherwise, if this is some sort of a training demonstration video and it's actually CGI, so to speak, that wouldn't be a problem either. But I don't know where the source of this original video is from. I don't mean NASA, because it says NASA at the top here, but what was the context of this video? It shows you a few seconds and then doesn't explain anything.
In the images from satellite.
Okay, and then we go to this. Same story. It's sourced by NASA. You got a NASA emblem on a satellite here. I don't know what this video is from. Is this actually video taken from NASA, or is this just some sort of demonstration CGI that they put together? You don't tell us. I don't know. What is the source of this video for the context so that I can tell if this is actually supposed to be real or not? That's the problem with these flat earth videos.
Satellites. The thousands of magical orbiting.
Okay, and then there's this. This, I can tell you, is a fake picture. This is not a actual photograph from an actual satellite up in space. I guarantee you that. Somebody made this up to try and put the idea in a flat earther's head that it's just a big junkyard up there. Now, sure, there's space debris, but it's not this dense. Should I say it that way? Space is so huge that all of these particles are still pretty far away from each other. even though there's a lot of them up there. Space is just so big that they're not all congregating close to each other. This is a fake picture to put a confusion in your mind.
Aluminum tin cans floating in space?
Aluminum tin cans.
It's...
Did you hear that? Aluminum tin cans. Which one is it, Eric? Are they aluminum or are they tin? Because as far as I remember, those are two different elements on the periodic table of elements, the chart. So where'd that phrase come from?
It's all animation and games and...
No, it's not all animation. You are just asserting that it's all animation.
Until one comes crashing down on your squad.
Okay. And then now they're going to show you satellites, they're calling them, that have come down from Earth. And watch the evidence from all of them.
Many crashed satellites have been reported the world over. And the one thing they all have in common is giant helium balloons attached to them.
Oh, well, maybe it's because they're not actually satellites, they're weather balloons. Weather balloons have electronic devices connected to them. If you want to call that a satellite, okay, but that's not really what it is. I mean, I guess they're similar. You put a electronic device on a helium balloon, it's called a weather balloon, and it goes up only so far. Or you go into low Earth orbit and you put an actual electronic device out there, which is much, much, much farther away, and that's now a satellite. Everything you're going to see here is a weather balloon with some sort of electronic device on it for the purpose of monitoring the weather.
Of course, satellite technology is real. We get our weather information, communication equipment, and even some internet service from them.
Yeah, see, they have to admit that satellites are actually up there. They have to do that. So here it is, but what he's going to do is he's just going to claim that all of these satellites that are actually up there are just weather balloons. But he doesn't have proof for that.
Look up Google Loon, for example. It's not that they wouldn't use the magical floating satellites if they could. It's that they don't physically exist, nor does the globe.
How do you prove something doesn't exist? You can't prove that. You can prove something does exist by showing it. But it's not possible to ever say something does not exist because you are not everywhere at the same time to be able to prove that it's nowhere to be found. If you claim something is not there, it might be somewhere else, and you're not the somewhere else to be able to see it. Omnipresent would be the attribute you would need to be able to claim that something does not exist. But no human being is omnipresent, so you can't claim that it doesn't exist.
They have been sending these up one at a time since it all began.
Yeah, and you know what? Showing footage of people putting weather balloons up doesn't prove that all the satellites are in fact just weather balloons. That's what you're inferring here, but that's bad logic. It does not follow. Non sequitur. Just because these weather balloons exist does not mean that space satellites don't exist. That's a false jump. That's a jump to a false conclusion.
I will allow them to explain it.
And he got a patent on that in 1950. And those early balloons were so large, they didn't have any way to launch them, except they actually launched them from aircraft carriers.
Modern scientific ballooning was born.
So?
It's also the genesis for NASA's newly developed super pressure balloon.
The reason for super pressure ballooning is they have absolutely stable altitude, day, night, and it doesn't matter how cold the atmosphere is. They are sealed.
So your shape is always the same. You always displace the same amount of air, and therefore you have the same amount of buoyancy all the time.
Okay, so what? NASA came along and built a better mousetrap. They made a better, more dependable weather balloon. So what? This still doesn't prove that space satellites don't exist.
This day-to-night altitude stability allows superpressure balloons and the...
See? He didn't even play the whole thing.
Hi, I'm Matt. and this is NASA Now.
NASA's been using balloons for science research for over 30 years.
Yep.
The exploration that can be done on balloons is continuing to grow. Standard balloon that I fly is about 660 feet long when it's made.
Yeah.
So when it's inflated, it's over 400 feet tall by 440 feet wide.
Cool.
Think of a dome stadium. That's how big my balloons are.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
It is now public knowledge that they send up satellites on massive helium-filled balloons.
No. Stop using the word satellite here if you're talking about weather balloons. Now, to be honest, I don't know. Do they call them satellites when they're putting them on weather balloons? I don't know. And I don't think I really need to go find out, because it still doesn't matter. Even if they do, this doesn't prove that space satellites don't exist. Just because there's just two different forms. There's weather balloon satellites, and then there's higher up space satellites. The existence of weather balloons does not disprove space satellites.
As you should know, NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the world, for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. Yeah, maybe because they also do weather balloons as well as the other space things that they do.
But the issue with society is that they never critically think.
That's some irony there.
Just think for a second here.
Yep.
If these are sent up
That's the problem. You flat earthers only think for a second.
to provide the world with all of the important information we need, and I'm sure the entire process is expensive and difficult to accomplish, then please explain to me what in the flat world do these pathetic animations do for you?
Just give you sort of a demonstration of what they're doing, because they can't actually photograph it as easily. It's easier to just give a CGI representation of what they're doing than it is to actually photograph it up there, because you would need a camera that's also up there. So now instead of flying one thing up there, they would have to fly two things up there, so that you've got the thing and the thing with the camera. Why would they do that? Just make a CGI video for the sake of demonstration. That's all it is.
Do they make you happy inside?
Oh, come on.
Are they so super duper cool that you cannot see past?
See, he's talking like a child now. Are they so super duper cool? He's trying to make you feel stupid for believing in animations, when the animations are not trying to pretend that they are actually film. They never do that.
Past the obvious CGI? The fact of the matter is everything NASA sends up on a balloon simply hovers above our motionless Earth.
False. Not everything.
That is why they rarely speak about orbiting satellites.
Now, I'm not absolutely positive of this, but my understanding of a satellite is that you can point your satellite dish at the satellite, and then you get the signal from it, right? That's how satellite TV works, or used to. I don't know if anybody still has satellite TV. That's how satellite internet works, and that sort of thing. Therefore, the satellite has to be there in the same spot all the time for it to work. And on a globe, which we, of course, know is actually rotating, that would mean that the satellite has to also rotate along with the rotation of the Earth so that you can still point to it. Because if it stays in one place and then the Earth rotates below it, then you can't really point a satellite dish at it. It has to stay in the same place. Sirius XM radio, you have to point you have to have access to the southern sky. And if I drive by a mountain or a building or something which blocks the southern sky, I don't receive the satellite radio anymore. That's interesting.
And of course, they never show footage. Here is some footage of a random evening with a man, the moon, and his Nikon P900. Notice anything floating up there?
The only thing that's in space is your imagination.
Forget it, Bart. It's so bright out you can't see anything in the sky except the Fox satellite.
Okay.
Another remark.
What are you showing here? What do you think this proves, Eric?
Out, you can't see anything in the sky.
I see a very large moon with some balloons that somebody lost from their birthday or something up there. And those balloons are probably only a matter of feet away. But they happen to be right in the line of sight of the moon, so you see them as a silhouette. I don't know what that is. If that's some sort of a weather balloon that's way further up there, okay. So what? What do you think you're proving with this shot? And the Simpsons thing doesn't really prove anything either.
Except the Fox satellite.
Another remarkable fact about NASA's balloon launches is that many are launched from Antarctica. Is it because we cannot travel past certain parallels to witness their launches with our own eyes?
Okay, he's getting into Antarctica now, isn't he? Isn't the rest of this all Antarctica? Yeah, this guy. Yeah, so this is now going into Antarctica. And this one's going to be fun.
Is it because we cannot travel past certain parallels to...
No. This claim that humanity is not permitted to go further south than, what is it, the 60th or 70th parallel down there or whatever? In other words, you're not allowed to go to Antarctica. They claim that there's some sort of navy down there that will actually blow your ship out of the water if you try and get close to Antarctica. That's how they make it sound. And it's absolutely ridiculous because there's zero footage of any such thing. If this is true, then show me a photo or a video of some sort of navy protecting people or stopping people from going to Antarctica. There's no footage of that because it's made up.
To witness their launches with our own eyes? What else are they hiding from us?
Maybe they launch it from Antarctica because the satellite is intended for the southern hemisphere. I don't know if it works that way, but that wouldn't surprise me. Maybe they maybe they do it from the South Pole for other reasons, like the magnetic type stuff that goes on, because all of the magnetism of the Earth is attracted to the poles, of course. I think if you go through the poles, that might have something to do with the thinner part of the Van Allen radiation belt, and that's your answer for your moon landing stuff. Okay, so this doesn't prove anything. It's just casting doubt in the minds of these poor flat Earth people that fall for all of this fast talking, fast videos, without actual proof in it. The guy is just deceiving people into believing this flat Earth hoax with a bunch of fake science.
There. It would be nice if someone was allowed to truly explore Antarctica again.
I've recently seen it was a rerun actually. It was from a few years ago, like 2019, 2018 or something like that. A rerun of Wheel of Fortune. America's Game, right? It's a family game show that's been on for decades. I remember when it was on when I was a little boy in the 70s. Wheel of Fortune has been around for a long, long time. And one of the prizes that they were giving away in this show was a tourist trip to Antarctica. Now, why would they do that if it's some huge restricted area? You can go on the internet and you can find tourist, like charter planes that you can go to Antarctica. These tourist type businesses of Antarctica exist. They are out there.
It sure has been a while since the last guy.
Greetings to you, my young friend.
Okay, Admiral Byrd.
Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd. I must say that
this is going to be a big lesson in understanding how a flat earther listens to one thing, and because they already believe in flat Earth, they are going to interpret what he says in a flat Earth way. Yet somebody with a globe mentality and good scientific mind, such as myself, if I do say so for myself, can hear what he says and understand exactly what he actually meant.
Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, is there any unexplored land left on this earth that...
Unexplored land. This is back in, what was this, the 50s?
that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. Strangely enough, there is left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
Now what is he talking about? You know what? I'm going to bring that globe back. So let me grab this real quick and bring it back down here. And let's take a look at Antarctica. Look at how big Antarctica is. Now look at how big North America is. Okay, that's kind of big. And America's kind of the same size-ish. Okay, now Admiral Byrd ends up like landing on the coastline or something of Antarctica. I don't know where, but he didn't go he didn't go over the land to find the actual South Pole. He just basically landed on the edge and then said, yeah, there's a whole bunch of land there. He was talking about the continent of Antarctica itself. That's all. He was not talking, because it hadn't really been discovered yet. It hadn't been explored yet. This is a long time ago. The ability to truly explore this frigid, cold Antarctica hasn't really come around since the last several decades. That's the only exploration we've been able to do now, is really the last few decades, the last several decades since Admiral Byrd. He was just one of the first that got there. And then following in his footsteps, other people have gone along and mapped the whole thing, and now there's actually an observatory smack dab on the South Pole. I guess that must be that right there. There's an observatory right there. Now this is not a photo in that way, so of course it's not going to show up on my little earthquake monitoring program here. But that is where the observatory is, and you can go to their website and you can actually look at in real time at what that observatory is looking at.
And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored. But more important than that, it has to do with the future of the nation, those to come after us, or even during your lifetime, because it happens to be an untouched reservoir of natural resources.
Yes, 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 yes. The natural resources. And that would be something that a whole bunch of different countries might want to fight over. Now, wouldn't it be something if Russia and the United States and China all wanted those different resources for themselves? Wouldn't that potentially create a war? Who does Antarctica actually belong to in the world? Therefore, they ended up coming up with a peace treaty of sorts, this Antarctica Treaty that you guys commonly talk about, that does not say that nobody's allowed to go there at all. That's not what it says. It's just an agreement amongst all of the countries of the world. Not necessarily all the countries, don't take me super literally on that word all, but the countries, the main power countries of the world at that time that signed this treaty just agreed we're not going to fight each other over ownership of Antarctica so that we can get the resources. That's what the purpose of the treaty was. Okay? And I believe that is all of Eric Dubay's arguments. Okay? I have finished. This was the first video. This was the second one. That was the third one. That was the fourth one. And now all of this was this fifth video. But so that's my refutation of Eric Dubay's part of this hoax video called Level. Next, I'm going to end up going into these other people, his minions, and we got ODD TV, and this guy, Dave Murphy, and whatever this guy's name is, don't really care. And, of course, this potty mouth, Eddie Bravo. And then there's this guy. Yeah, this guy's a real problem, too. We'll get to him. And lastly, the rich guy that financed all of this, apparently. So I'm going to make separate videos for each one of them. I don't know if I should lump any of them together or if I should just do one for each. They might be short videos if I do one for each. I don't know. But they're next. So as far as Eric Dubay is concerned, you're refuted, buddy.